So I was able to capitalize on a very clean move today, trading ticker symbol AAL. That was about a $400 P&L, around 35% profit. It was a great example of our mean reversion strategy. So for today's trade recap, I want to actually show you a live clip from the session I took this morning over inside my mentorship group, where I walked my students through this trade, entry to exit, what I saw and how this trade was executed. This could have not been a more perfect example. And then after that, we'll take a look at where we're at so far this week. Now, without the software, I wouldn't have known what stock to look at. I wouldn't have known to look to even trade AAL. Obviously needed a bias. I needed to know which direction to bet on AAL going. The software, gave me that, and it gave me the contracts. And at that point, we can look at a chart, and from a technical perspective, we can determine how we want to trade that trade, where we're going to set our stop, where we're going to set our take profit. We saw a pullback off the open, bounce off our bottom VWAP, second bounce off our bottom VWAP, trade it back up into our mean. The order was entered here at 10:06. If we look at our top left chart here, we could see off the open, we did get close going vertical, saw across, got flat, opened, balanced. Based off of that, the market was balanced. We were trading in horizontal. We knew we would revert back up to our mean. So at this point, we can look at the same time. I'm trying to do this in the moment. How sellers started to step off here, buyers started to step in. We would have actually waited a little longer if we were just looking at MACD cross. So we were a little bit early on that one from a MACD cross perspective, but we could see that buyers started to step in. At the same time, we obviously know that we moved from low tide back to mid tide back to high tide. And so this trade could have been as straightforward as just looking at the VWAP to determine our take profit and stop. You could see how our entry here would have been, essentially at the same time, we would have seen that move back up to our middle VWAP. We held middle VWAP. We started pushing up. We would have entered. We would have held up to our top VWAP or our high tide. And that just lined up exactly with where the algorithm had set my take profit and stop. Held this thing up, traded that 35% or so move. We took profit, obviously, because the algorithm gave us our take profit, but you could have also taken profit when we hit our top VWAP here. So we see this low tide to mid tide to high tide, back to mid tide, back to low tide. We knew that would happen because we were balanced. We could then look at our envelope system. We could see what bands our bars were forming on. You could see how the exit here was also directly on top of our highest bar on our highest further outmost blue band. Okay, so we knew we were pretty much maxed out here. This was our top. And you can see how we reverted right back into our mean, down to our outermost band, our blue band here. Bars forming lows outside, 1261. Reversion back to mean, back down to our low tide. Boom. Sellers came in. I wouldn't have really used MACD in this example. We can overlay the algo on top of this. The algo went ahead. It predetermined our take profit, our stop loss. So the algo does this for me automatically. But all of these tools we use allow us to do it on our own, the manual way. So that was a quick $400 trade this morning. So that's how you would have traded it. Again, I don't use algorithms. It just depends, not all the time. It just depends on the scenario. But that was a really beautiful trade there. So what you guys are learning works. But I have ways that I automate some stuff just to make it a little bit easier for me. We understand obviously how that point just really a simple mean reversion strategy. That's a basic low to mid to high tide, true higher highs, far off our mean. We reverted outside of our blue band. That's how I would look at that one. So you could have traded that without the algo. That was my point. But I use the algo to get the stop loss take profit. So that was a great trade on ticker symbol AAL. It does put us up on the week now, just about $1,800 in gross P&L. That's an average of $454 per day. If you guys are interested in trading live with me every single morning, I'll put a link in the description to my mentorship group. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.